answer, you're probably not right. I do a lot of stuff in this class to fill in and expand on the book, but the exams are based on the very, very teeniest of details in every one of the 6 approved textbooks. If you know an example, give them an example. Sometimes that shows that you know what they're talking about. So you can say blah, 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 like in Fukushima Daiichi, or blah, blah, blah. And sometimes in giving the example, you prove that you understand the issue. So whenever you know an example, give it to them. Many of my students asked me what are my guesses of what's going to be on the exam this year. I've got some guesses for you. Would you like to know my guesses for topics on the exam? Yes. Sometimes if you research these in your spare time, it might give you some background that would help you answer. While you take out paper, I'll explain where I'm coming from.
Chloe, I messed it up. Start over. I can't afford to mess up like that. Is this one? Oh, that one's not as bad.
Those lists over there with coffee stains, those are increased runoff.
Okay. The College Board is, the questions are written by environmental science teachers like me. And because they're science dorks, they usually pay attention to the news like I do. So, in December, right around the new year, maybe the first days of January, they propose topics for the first bunch of questions. And they start with a list of like 500 questions. And then they refine them and they trim it down and then they trial them. By February, March, they're starting to get data analyticals on those answers. Then they look at what are really the best questions, and it's usually all decided by the end of March, spring break. Then they print all of April and distribute them to you again. The point is, teachers like me are reading all of the same fake news that I read, and then they're pulling out like, oh, this would make an interesting question for high school students. And so, like Law and Order, they'll be inspired by real events. They'll change the names to protect the identities of the innocent and guilty. But you know, what have been the big news stories between December 2017 and December 2018? Sorry, December 2016, December 2017? Those would be about 2 of the questions on this exam. 2 of them are just going to be general stuff that they pull out of the book because it was a good question that's been written for years. But usually 1 or 2 of them will be inspired by something in the news. So I'm just trying to think, what's been in the news the last few years that they haven't asked about yet? And they don't really get into the politics. Management is usually not in here.
Okay.
Government is discussed in very, very general terms, not in specific. Keep in mind that people are partisan, districts and regions are partisan. So they got to keep it really general. But here's some of the stuff that has been in the news in the last couple of years that I've seen just cruising through stuff that would be interesting. Population issues, graphs, shapes, rule of 70, doubling, measuring people's carbon footprints. Monoculture versus polyculture. There's been a lot of conversation about how to improve farms. Industrialized farms, food output, food yield, irrigation methods, soil management, tillage, all that stuff about how much food you can get out of a farm. That's been a big deal lately. I mentioned this earlier, but you may not know it was a big deal. Our planet's producing less food than it has in the past. That's the first time in human history. Believe it or not, coffee. Coffee is an example of a crop that's influenced by climate, population issues, coffee shortages because of diseases, and coffee growing regions that have political instability. Coffee's actually come up a lot lately. Toxicity and LD50, lethal dose to kill half the population. Slash and burn agriculture. Ecological services, public service functions, like stuff that nature does for us. That's been a big conversation lately. Ethanol is a big whoop, especially cellulosic ethanol. Trying to make ethanol from non-agricultural crops. There's been a lot of attention to that, especially in the spring of last year. The growth of wind energy. Coal is always in the news. Coal is always, that you can't get away from it. There's this thing called coal ash, which is a big one. Changes in the world's albedo. So how shiny the planet is, where there is snow, where the planet is darker, how human construction changes albedo. Changes in surface temperatures of the Earth. Ocean acidification has been in the news a lot. Carbon economics, carbon tax, how the planet values carbon. Since the US pulled out of the Paris Accords, you wouldn't know it, but the rest of the world has been talking a lot about carbon economics. The Keystone Pipeline, or those other pipelines that move natural gas and crude petroleum. There's a lot you could say about fracking, and I believe that there was a fracking question last year. Did anybody confirm this? That 2017 had a fracking question? Maybe it was 2016. Anywho, leaking methane, deep well injection of the fracking fluid. could see that being on there. Secondary petroleum deposits, lesser petroleum deposits, like oil sands and tar shale and stuff. I think alternative energy is a good call. E-waste incineration, e-waste and incineration has been really the only things I've heard about landfill stuff. They just had a landfill question recently, so I wouldn't expect that again. Preventing runoff, like managing surface water. Farming of salmon has been in the news a lot. Deep water petroleum extraction, like deep ocean stuff, like the horizon. Impoundment dams. Holy mackerel! The United States, we've been talking so much about freshwater supplies and how much we're impounding. Water usage in Las Vegas and the U.S. Southwest. Of course, drought in general. The Fukushima disaster. And maybe extreme weather events. I've been waiting for them to do extreme weather for 16 years. Maybe there's a reason they haven't done it. That's in environmental news a lot. So maybe there's a reason that they haven't done it. Claire, if you want to turn off the stream, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Oh wait, one more thing. I'm sorry. One last thing about just getting ready in general. You'll want multiple pencils and pens. Dress comfortably. It's not the right day to be wrestling with like a horrible wedgie from your hoochie pants or whatever. Like just chill in clothes that are like comfortable so you can just focus on the test. Yeah, you, Nathan. If you can, get one of these erasers. They have really sharp corners. They're very flexible. I believe that they're called polymer erasers. The art places sell them. It's like the best spent $2. Imagine if you like skip 57 and start putting 58 on 57 and you get to 99 and you realize that you were just supposed to be on 100. You'll be really glad you spent $2. I think even less than $2. You should know that Gary through the end of the alphabet, go to the library. Bacon through Ginsburg, go to room 303. Extended time goes to room 215, which I believe is near the assistant principal's office, but I'm not an expert. Yes? Yes. It's next to the principal's office. Yeah.
Where is 303?
303 is in the upstairs end of the math wing closest to the J-lock. Yeah.
What time is it going to go to?
I'm sorry, I can guess, but I'm not sure. My hunch is that you would be done by 4 at the latest. But dude, what if I'm wrong and you'll hate me? Just talk to Hazel. Wait. No, I lied. It could go past 4. Because you don't start until 1. You need to leave your 4th period by noon and get to your destination by 12:45. It takes a while to check you in and put you in a desk. You have to leave stuff. They like cavity search you. Yes?
I think it was like mostly 1998. It said
Hold on. Could you stop talking? What?
certain questions that said they weren't graded. Why does that happen? Does everyone get some?
They are evaluating whether they look at that question for demographic research to see if the question is good and if the question is correlated to other grade markers and whether it's a fair question for all demographics or whatever, they use those for research, not for your grade. Each of those questions cost the College Board like $200,000 or whatever because they do all this testing and statistical analysis and stuff. What else? Comfortable clothes. Take a lot of fruit for your snack. Seriously, the cell phone thing is such a nightmare. If a cell phone rings during testing and it's near a person, that person is disqualified. It's like really horrific. The cell phone thing has gotten really bad, and Hazel hates to do this because she's a nice person and she always forgets, and so her phone always goes off in meetings and stuff. So she doesn't want to tool you, but she's supposed to. That's like a horrible position for her. She and I talk about this all the time because I'm in charge of SAT and we have the same laws. If your cell phone is seen to be active somehow while you are testing, you're supposed to be dead meat. Yeah.
What if it goes off in your backpack?
So you're not allowed to have your backpack with you and your phone's supposed to be off. So the reason it takes, stop talking. The reason that you go to 12:45 is when you walk in, you're supposed to kill your phone, power it down, put it in your bag, and then go sit. If you didn't power it down or you didn't leave it in your bag, you already broke the rules. So if they can prove it's yours, you're disqualified, and if it's on you, then you're definitely disqualified. And honestly, she's such a nice lady that she'd probably just make a big deal out of it and would just distract everybody. But I've been suggesting that if somebody's phone distracts you, you should smash it. Because I'm pretty sure that what are they going to do? Complain and then get disqualified? It's like stealing from a thief. Like, what are you going to do? Call the cops? My life of crime. I know things. Yeah.
During the SAT, they're showing they collect phones, though, right?
They're supposed to. Some proctors don't feel comfortable doing that. Some students can still keep them. So I didn't bring a phone. What are we going to do? Like, check your pockets?
You would.
Closer, Akila. I can't quite feel that pocket.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
On video.
So obviously they're not going to check your
that was
pockets.
all.
So obviously people can have it. That's my point.
Yep.
No, like obviously, like. Yeah.
Do you like have a bag that has your fruit in it, or like is that allowed?
You're allowed to go to get food during breaks from your stuff at the door. There's a check-in area. Water bottle you can take to your desk if it is clear and has no labels. Clear water bottle, no labels. If it's a metal bottle, you can't take it to your desk. Yeah.
I don't think that's right.
What?
Because last year when I took one of them, I left my snacks in my bag and she didn't let me get them. It was Miss Harris.
Oh no, Miss Harris doesn't know.
I am not an expert on any of these things, and I can't guarantee consistency among all of our staff, and I don't want to be responsible for giving you bad advice. Take everything I've said with a grain of salt. I'm not sure, but I think that's the deal. Yeah?
Are the rules the same for the SAT?
Like, more or less. So far, everything I've said applies to both. But not all rules are the same, but so far the things I've said apply to both, I think. What else? Okay, I'm sorry, Claire. Thank you.